Hi, I'm Brandon Peachin and the owner of Mountain Lacrosse Network and host of Sideline Sessions. On this episode of Sideline Sessions, our guest is Nick Ossello. I'm excited to share our conversation with you. And if you could do me a favor, hit like and subscribe so we can keep more of these shows coming. Thanks for watching. Nick Ossello, thanks for making time to be
Hey,
on the
thank you
show
for the
here
invitation.
for episode 8 of Sideline Sessions. I'm excited to get into this with you. Um, I've had the pleasure of working with you a couple times on some broadcasting things. Not quite ESPN Seals and PLL, but here locally you've donated time to help with a couple high school championship games, and at Bishop Kelly you've called some games, and it's been a really good time for me. And I've enjoyed learning some tips and tricks. In fact, I hold on to one sage piece of advice was
Uh-oh.
it's it's live. Things are going to go wrong. And for some reason, that clicked with me, and it took a little stress off because I thought you had to be perfect.
It's
So,
always going to go wrong.
yeah,
And even knowing some of the broadcasters that, have made
yeah,
it, the Anishas, the
hmm,
Paul Carcateras of the world,
yeah,
that's kind of their running joke is it's like, oh, what's it like when you make it? He's like, it's still a gong show. Like it's live television. It's
yeah,
never going to go perfect, but
sure,
just try and get better every single day.
yeah,
And you'd be surprised, like your production value I don't think is appreciated or recognized nearly enough. And I don't mean to start off this episode by just
sure.
singing your praises,
No, I need it.
but my goodness, some of the stuff we've had to do over the years, even for Seals games or whatever,
Mhm,
somebody invites me out to be a guest broadcaster.
yeah.
I'm like, this is truly a disaster. And the equipment that you have and the production you put on is impressive.
Yeah. I'm only limited by my own pocketbook. So,
Don't you
and
hate when that
yeah,
happens?
but no, I appreciate it.
Donate.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate that. And we're trying. We do a little bit every year, and this is a hobby that's become quite fun for me, and I enjoy it. And,
Mhm.
seems like a lot of other people do. But I'm here to talk to you about Nick Ossello on and off the field, and
Yeah.
I know, and a little bit about little Nicky up to today, and kind of how you became who you are.
Hmm.
So I know you've had some other podcasts or lots of interviews with the standard thing. I'm curious about learning more about you as a person and how that those opportunities of lacrosse help shape that and prepare you for later. And at the same time, those influential people in your life.
Oh yeah.
And, and now at lacrosse, for the most part, I mean, you're still calling games. It's still there,
Hmm.
but you're more than that.
Yeah.
So let's start back home, Colorado, and
Wheat Ridge, Colorado.
Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Tell me about Wheat Ridge, Colorado. I've never been.
It's Boise,
Hmm.
present day Boise. It was everything that I love about living in Boise, and I feel like I hit the jackpot. We were 20 minutes from the base of the mountains, and we were 20 minutes from downtown Denver. So as I was growing up, there were a couple key things that I came to appreciate years later, like growing up in the shadow of Mile High Stadium, going to Outlaws games and
Sure.
Mammoth games.
Yeah.
Like that had such an impact on my sports obsession, let alone
Yeah.
the Broncos, Nuggets, Rockies,
Hmm.
Avalanche. Like it's a sports crazed town.
Yeah.
When you're not focusing on professional sports, you got the CU Buffaloes, you got Colorado State, Air Force is 2 hours down the
Yeah.
road. You can go skiing in the mountains, you can go rafting, fishing. But like whatever you
Yeah.
wanted to do is just kind of the sampler platter of whatever your interest is. Within an hour, there's a world class organization that will be able to cater to those needs and a community that is hyper focused on that. So for me and my buddies, what I love about Wheat Ridge,
Yeah.
not just being kind of that general vibe,
Hmm.
but it allowed us to explore a lot of different paths as kids. And what I mean by that, I always knew I was going to be a football player. Like
Yeah.
coming out of the womb,
Hmm.
my dad loved football, mom loved football. The Broncos were good. I was born in 93. Broncos won it in 97. Colorado State, even though it's ancient history, was a top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
And that
Sure.
drew me in. But I was also able to go on a ski trip with buddies. I was also able to kind of explore everything. So I I just feel like I hit the jackpot, and to this day, like Boise was a very intentional decision because I want to give my kids when they arrive after I get married, a lot of life happening in the next
Sure.
couple years. I want them to whatever they're interested in
Right.
take a stab at, and I was fortunate enough to have that.
I agree. It sounds like you, for one, you could be the business development director for Wheat Ridge. Did a
Mhm.
great job selling it there.
I got a little too
And
big.
then two, it's very much copy paste here.
Mm,
You know, a little smaller scale, but mountain skiing, Bronco sports, Bronco light for the
hmm
Denver Broncos, but still, uh, you know, yeah, it's a great place. Both places seem excellent, and it would be an easy transition for you. So tell me about like home then. So like that was the town, parents, if it's okay.
Yeah,
Talk about that, mom, dad, whatever situation was, and kind of like growing up, that background too.
yeah, and in terms of hitting the jackpot, my parents, I could not have asked for a better childhood. Um, grew up in a comfortable house, and the expectation was that I was always busy.
Hmm.
There was not a lot of lazy time.
Yeah.
Um, so I got to be a hyperactive kid. Went through the public school system, and Prospect Valley Elementary right down the street, and then Everett Middle School right down the street, and then ultimately at Wheat Ridge High School. And my parents kind of being the guiding light, to the point where I was like even comfortable telling them in high school. I was like, oh, like last night was a weird party.
Sure.
Like they instilled in me a level of trust in them that they would always look out for me,
Yeah.
that they had my best interests at heart, but that I wasn't allowed to abuse that in any way.
Hmm.
And that was stamped out like that. Now, of course, as things change, and we'll probably get into it later,
Sure.
parents are no longer together, and, there are
Yeah.
some interesting family dynamics, we'll call it.
Okay.
But from birth until through college, for sure, to have a North Star of your parents going, do whatever you want, just be great at whatever that is.
Okay.
Um, and my mom's famous saying, like, do an A job. Um,
Yeah.
because sometimes I'd show up and I'd just, I'd mail it in at school or I'd mail it in at practice. And
Yeah.
he never glorified the results. She always glorified the
The
process.
effort.
Yeah.
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 Excellent. Mom and dad, careers in particular.
Dad did a number of things. And, to keep it high level,
Hmm.
I was born into a very wealthy family,
Okay.
but my dad was a risk taker. He took all this money he had made from the casino industry, put it all into a real estate deal, and all of a sudden, overnight, we were moving, and
Okay.
steaks
Yeah.
turned into frozen
Sure.
pizzas. And I've since had conversations about this time in my life. I
Right.
just remember guys knocking on the door when I was 4, going, "Is your dad home?" And
Hmm.
he's like, he taught me to say no.
Right. Yeah.
And
Well.
a lot of times where he was staring in the mirror, and eventually him and some friends, they started an investment bank in the small and mid cap size companies, because he was like, I that's the easiest way I know how to
Sure.
feed my family.
Yeah.
So him being the risk taker, my mom was a part-time financial advisor,
Okay.
so she was able to be home all the time. I have two sisters, and I always say this: one's older, one's younger, and my older sister's like my hero in life.
It's awesome.
And it was so funny because every teacher that I had, I was 2 years behind her. They go, "Oh, you're Ellie's brother. What a delight you're going to be in class." And they were like, "This kid sucks. He's a nightmare."
Yeah.
Um, but
You made it a lot easier for a younger sister.
oh yeah, they
Yeah.
were like, "Holy shit, your
Yeah.
next brother." And they're like, "Oh, you're actually pretty good."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, family dynamics again with everything that's happened,
Hmm.
it's kind of interesting to talk about. But
Yeah.
I can't deny that I had one of the best childhoods of
Sure.
anybody I know. Location, family dynamics.
Yeah.
Aunt and uncle lived 20 minutes down. Thanksgivings, Christmases, like just some of the best memories a kid could have.
That's great. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that, that story. And, that diversity isn't unique. Sometimes it's how you end up in it.
hmm
That's kind of the uniqueness of the story
hmm
and how you come out of it, right?
hmm
It sounds like you had some great leaders there in your family, and mom and dad just kept plowing away, hard workers that pulled the family up, and
Yeah.
great examples. Let's roll into a little bit of high school, cross, football player,
hmm
life like that. grades. You've always been great about sharing, like when you've done excellent and when you've probably could have done better,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. And I think that that those truths don't get told enough.
Mhm,
And because no matter if you're at something long enough, you're going to fail.
mhm.
And whether it's work or whatever,
Well, you should be
you
failing.
should be failing. Exactly. And if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough or risking enough to grow.
Mhm.
So let's get into that high school a little bit, little sports, little some other influences maybe in your life, some coaches.
Yeah. Wheat Ridge was an interesting school, demographic wise. And my senior year, Hispanic actually became the majority population because another high school
Hmm.
closed down. So there was a very diverse crew. And when I say diverse, I mean it was essentially just whites and Mexicans, you
Okay.
know. I don't think that's offensive to say. They are still some of my good friends to this day.
Yeah.
But what that kind of ended up being was a traditional high school culture in the sense that football was king.
Hmm.
That's who the cool kids were. That's what you wanted to be. You wanted to be the quarterback. You
Yeah.
wanted to attain social status, either through humor or through football.
Right.
I was very much wanting to do that. So I
Yeah.
was like, I
Sure.
need to be funny and I need to play football. Lacrosse was always what I did in the spring,
Hmm.
as a support for football. So, I show up freshman year, wide-eyed, just ready to take on the world. Um, the football culture and my high school football coach, you might think I have good things to say about him. I do not.
Okay.
He created a culture that was the seniors can run roughshod over the freshmen, and I don't care. I'm going to turn a blind
Sure.
eye. The
Right.
culture of
It'll
bullying,
work itself
hazing,
out.
exactly.
Right.
It was archaic to a crazy extent,
Hmm.
to the point where, like, every freshman had their week, which is just the seniors beat you up after every practice. And my week lasted a month because my older sister was hot and she wouldn't hook up with any of the football
Oh,
players.
okay.
So they're like, "You tell Ellie," and
Right.
I'm like, "I'm not gonna say that." They go, "Okay, well then we're gonna beat you." I'm
Yeah.
like, "This is
Yeah.
stupid."
I don't understand how this works.
So, like, the amount of times I'd come home from
Yeah.
practice after school, and my dad would be like, "How was football practice?" And with tears in my eyes, I'm like, "I don't know if I want to play football."
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't just stay with it. We were a garbage freshman team. We went
Hmm.
2-7. Um, and then lacrosse kind of was another interesting one. Wheat Ridge was not big enough to support its own lacrosse school.
Hmm.
So we had to pull from, I think, 5 different surrounding high
Oh
schools
wow.
to play under the Wheat Ridge umbrella.
Okay.
So we had, like Rolston Valley, Arvada West, and a handful of other schools that would conglomerate at Pennington Elementary School for practice. Um, and what I will say, for how bad some of the high school football coaches were, particularly the head coach who got fired the year after I left for threatening to stab a kid on Facebook Messenger,
Okay.
just to give you insight into
Okay.
what he was up to.
Yeah.
There were some great lacrosse influences. And my freshman year lacrosse coach was Ryan Dunn. And he he was the first coach that I had that, through tears in my face mask and me
Hmm.
wanting to just kill him at some practices,
Sure.
he showed me that the end result is worth it to an extent that you can get through those hard times.
Yeah.
So I'm on the freshman
Hmm.
lacrosse team, and our freshman lacrosse team was like slated to be the first Wheat Ridge team to compete for state
Okay.
at the 5A level.
Got
It was
some
like,
hype coming.
we had some hype.
Sure.
Hey, this is the freshman team.
Yep.
You guys are good.
Hmm.
We're going to keep you together. Like, we're not going to kind of cherry
Right.
pick some players for varsity because
Yep.
we want to keep you guys together. So kind of as I progressed through high school, it was gradual steps in that almost clout chasing direction where, okay, now I'm on varsity football and now our lacrosse team is making hype. Um, and so by the time we're seniors, um, it was this, again, interesting school dynamic where we had a great
Yeah.
lacrosse team. We had commits to DU, RIT, Huffs, and nobody cared. It was all about football.
Sure.
So I threw my life at football for that senior year. Um, but all in that time, balancing being the class clown with
Hmm.
still having to get good grades, with still knowing that I'm going to try and play college sports. Kind of doing a terrible job making this a linear
No, you're doing
story,
good.
but at the same time, like high school, the things that I struggled with sophomore and junior year were, I don't know who I am. Am I a funny guy? Am I an
Right.
athlete? I felt I was relatively smart,
Hmm.
um, but nobody was taking me seriously, and just all of it merged together in one big beautiful mess that is high
Okay.
school.
So what at what point in at high school, whether it was lacrosse or football, you're like, oh, I can do this at the next level, or even was there a person that was like, hey Nick, by the way, like if you just focus on a couple of these things here or there, like your opportunities beyond high school here are pretty substantial.
My high school coaching staff was great people. Chris Knott, Pat O'Connor, a couple of these guys were awesome people.
Hmm.
I don't think, they had lives and kids and wives and jobs and this and that. So
Yeah,
I don't think that they had the capacity to really be that particular influence on me, but they would always support me.
sure.
It was when I got into the club scene my sophomore year after my summer. I started playing for Denver Elite, which was coached
Hmm.
by Bill and Trevor Tierney.
Yeah,
I'm
couple
like,
couple
"Hmm,
girls may have heard of.
you may have heard of Bill Tierney at some point."
Yeah.
And on one of those travel tournaments, I got cut, and I said, "You're
Oh,
you're not going out east." And I'm like, "Okay, so I'm probably not going to be able to play college lacrosse."
right. It was
Um,
over. Like that
yeah,
one cut, like
I'm like,
everything fell. Sure.
and
Yeah.
everybody already knows where this story is going, but using that as motivation
Hmm.
and, in my mind, hating Coach Tierney and saying, I'm going to prove you wrong and you should have
Yeah.
never not brought me to that tournament. I played in like another tournament.
Right. Yeah.
So it
You
was
picked
total.
up, yeah, picked up like within 3 days,
Well,
probably.
we
Sure.
went out east and we played the Crabs and we were like, we're going to show
Uh-huh.
them what Colorado's all about. We lost 18-4. Like we got destroyed.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the first experience of like, I don't know if I'm cut out for this because I'm from Colorado and
Hmm.
like I have good stick skills, I'm athletic, this that, but there's levels to this, and I ain't on their level. Um, so progressing through that junior year, um, and it's crazy how much puberty has an influence on your
I was
recruiting.
just sitting here thinking, like, size was Nick back then.
I I was 165 junior year,
About
uh,
6 foot. Okay.
summer, 5'11",
Okay.
160. Um, Graduated high school at 170. So I was never the 210-pound defender,
Yeah.
but I loved contact. Like I'm gonna weigh less than you, but my
Right.
head's gonna go into your head at a
Hmm.
faster
Well,
velocity.
and I think that's the other thing with when hormones kick in. There's a different mentality that sometimes comes with it.
Hmm.
Maybe the size isn't there, but all of a sudden there's a little more aggressiveness or able to take it up a level as a player once those things kick in. That like you're like all of a sudden like if you watch Young Man or something, you're like, ooh, where'd that come from?
Hmm.
New player this year.
Oh, and right as that kicked in, I
Hmm.
was going into that crucial junior year summer.
Right.
Still with that Denver Elite team,
Hmm.
and we went out and played some tournaments, and this was the travel heavy summer, so I went out 3 times,
Okay.
um, for 2 tournaments and a showcase. And when I started to realize I could get recruited was that first tournament when the things that I was doing to dust Colorado players. If you've ever watched me play, it's a jab step to the middle, sweep to my right hand. 99% effective rate in high school, but I had already convinced myself, I'm like, this is just because these guys are puds.
Hmm.
Um, this is never going to work in the East Coast. First time, I'm like, might as well give it a try. Oh, just created 8 yards of separation. Ooh, just beat him again. Like,
Right.
oh, like even though they have objectively better stick skills and IQ, I'm punt returning clears and nobody's staying with me.
Yeah.
I'm able to get top side every single time. And what I tell kids a lot is like, when you're being recruited, you don't need to be the complete package. Like, but you need to do a couple things better than everybody else out there on the
Yeah.
field. Mine was punt return clearing to highlight the speed that I had just
Hmm.
developed a month ago, and the moves that I had to get topside. The
Right.
move. Um, so I got confidence in that first tournament, and then in that second tournament, a big staple of my life from a saying and motivation perspective has been gradually, then suddenly.
Hmm.
Gradually, you start chipping away at stuff, and then suddenly, boom. And on that second tournament, I was going in confidence, probably cocky. I was going, you guys actually have no clue what you're doing because you're good lacrosse players, but you're not good athletes. I'm going to embarrass you,
Hmm.
like all this type of stuff. Played a great tournament, and it was one of those East Coast where it was just littered with college coaches. And then
Yeah.
after that, I had a full inbox, and it was Syracuse, UNC, Dartmouth, Yale, um, a number of D2s and D3s. But I just remember when the Syracuse email hit my inbox,
Yeah.
and I go, guys, we're all sitting in whatever quad dorm at UMBC, which is a shithole campus. They go, oh, yeah, everybody's all excited. I'm like, I got an email from
Right.
Syracuse, and everybody's super excited about that.
Hmm.
And so that really was like, it was gradually getting my confidence back, and then suddenly everything happens overnight.
Awesome. Cool. But you didn't end up at Syracuse.
Nope.
How do we get to Notre Dame?
So I actually, in that batch of gradually, then suddenly, Maryland was a part of that. And
Okay.
I was talking to a recently hired coach at Maryland, Tillman,
Hmm.
and Alex Moran. And what Coach Moran did was really put his foot on the gas to try and get me to commit before that summer was over.
Okay.
So I start get recruiting in late June, early July, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And the full court press that Maryland put on, they got me to commit almost hesitantly, which
Okay.
sounds crazy. Why would you hesitate to commit to Maryland?
Yeah.
Because I had my mom and my dad there saying, is Maryland the best fit? Is this a
Sure.
good academic school?
Right.
What do you
Kind of
see
looking
with,
out for the other things,
yeah.
right? The other stuff that's
And I'm like,
actually important. Yeah.
Shut up,
Yeah.
mom and dad. What do you know? I'm going to go to Maryland.
That's right.
And so I commit to Maryland, and, with family orders the shirts and
Hmm.
blah, blah,
Yep.
blah, do
I've
my
ordered.
official.
Hmm.
Yeah. But kind of in the back of my head, I'm like, that was a rushed process.
Yeah.
And when, end of junior year, summer is right into senior year football. And my junior year, I was the backup quarterback, starting um, strong safety, doing some punt returns and kick returns.
Yeah.
We graduated so many people that on my senior year, I was quarterback, safety, punter, kicker, punt return, kick return.
Okay.
I'd have to find time to relax or come off the field. And I strung together enough games where I was starting to get looks on the football side from Montana, Air Force, Colorado School of
Okay.
Mines, Montana State, um, to the point where I was like, I think if I decommitted, that would open up more schools,
Yeah.
a CU, a CSU. Like
Hmm.
again, the North Star for me was always football, and lacrosse was just something I happened to be good at. So I decommitted from Maryland to pursue football. And in the wildest stroke of luck, there was an article that was written about me in the Denver Post.
Oh,
My high school mascot was the Farmers, and the title of it was "A Farmer Working Two Fields." Corniest title
I
ever.
think it's a fantastic, wonderful.
No, you don't.
Yes, I
Don't lie
do.
to me. Don't
Those
lie to me.
those silly pun titles or whatever at the end of articles, even
Yeah.
those are pretty fun. They do take some effort for it to be for them to be clever, but whatever.
Well, and the reason
Farmer.
I know that is because
Yeah.
my mom framed it and put it in my bedroom, and
You.
I'm like, Mom, I don't need.
Yeah.
I'm still in high school. This was written
Sure.
last week. So I took it down, and then she put it back up, and I'm like, whatever. So I just had this
Okay.
news article staring at me.
Yeah.
Um, and interestingly enough, and this is how serendipitous and how much of it relies, quite frankly, on luck. Uh, as my dad always does,
Hmm.
something gets written about me, it's immediately sent out to the family and
Right.
to his friends. His friend sends it to another guy, Bert Bondy. Bert Bondy is an accountant, and he knows John Arlotta. At Notre Dame, it's Arlotta Stadium. John Arlotta is a very serious Notre Dame
Yeah.
donor and
Hmm.
domer. John Arlotta sends it to Jerry Byrne, the defensive coordinator at the time. Jerry Byrne looks at this article that he's clearly going to look into because it was sent
Hmm.
to him from Arlotta, and go, "Oh yeah, maybe we should take a look at this kid."
Right.
Notre Dame had been at tournaments I had been at, and they had never taken an interest in
Yeah.
me. But Coach Byrne goes to Google my name, and instead of finding lacrosse highlights, he finds my football highlights.
Sure.
He watches my football highlights and is like, "We are going to offer this kid just based off the fact that he committed to Maryland and he has this sort of athleticism."
Yeah.
And then, of course, he went through the proper channels to call my high school coach, call my club coach.
Yeah.
He was on an email thread with my dad. He spoke to some of my teachers. Like, he went through the correct process
Hmm.
pretty much without ever having made a note of my games. Um, my scholarship at Maryland was going to be like books and a couple grand a year. And Notre Dame actually offered me um, 25%, which is substantial
Yeah.
given the time that this was not everybody could get a scholarship. It was like you have 12 and a
Hmm.
half, I think, to divvy it up.
Right.
So 25% for an unvetted, not very well nationally known recruit was a pretty big deal, with the option to see how that goes and get more and more if my playing warrants it.
Awesome.
So stroke of luck, but
Okay.
I've just been ranting now.
No, you're doing great. Let's take a minute. It's when you show up at Notre Dame, there's this it's a legendary school,
Mm,
right? It's this education that comes with it. There's a lot of history and maybe I'm making it up, but weight with that
hmm
and responsibility to the people to the legends that were there,
Yeah.
right? And that's part of what makes it what it is. Is that a real thing? Did you feel that? Is the pressure real or is it different pressure?
The important context to know, and I talked about how I was told no and the setbacks I had in high school.
Hmm.
By the time I was a junior, senior, and especially by the time I committed, like it was not a school that a lot of people committed to, big
Hmm.
schools like Notre Dame. Um, I had let that inflate my head to
Okay.
levels
Sure.
previously unseen. I got a 29 on the ACT, and Coach Corrigan said, "You're going to need to take it again." And I'm like,
Okay.
"What do you mean? I just got one of the best in the whole school."
Right.
Like, my friend got a 22 and was excited. There's levels when you're a big fish in a small pond that you
Hmm.
don't realize the talent pool you're going up against. And why I think that's important context. The reverence that I have for Notre Dame now is because it went so underappreciated, particularly my freshman and sophomore year. So I show up on campus and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm going to be an All American. I'm
Of
going to go
course.
pro. All the girls are going to love me. I'm going to breeze through my classes.
Hmm.
And what I so much appreciate about Notre Dame was it was exactly what I needed at that time in my life, which was a slice of humble pie and truly high stakes. If you fail at this, the course of your life changes forever. Because in high school, you can mess up and still go to college.
Hmm.
You can make mistakes that even if they do change the course of your life, you'll never know what you were giving up.
Yeah.
And that famous triangle where it's like you can have a social life, you can have good grades, and you can perform on the lacrosse team. And you have enough time to do two of those. And I chose social and I chose lacrosse. So at the expense of my GPA, I completely undervalued and underappreciated the Notre Dame experience. You ask if there was weight to it, I couldn't even tell you. Like
Okay.
freshman and sophomore year, I
Yeah.
just showed up to some of these. I grew up in a household that didn't like Notre Dame,
Hmm.
actually. So I was always taught to give them the middle finger. And here I am, and I'm like, yeah, they're gold.
Sure.
Campus is beautiful.
Right.
And there was just this series of like very humbling, embarrassing, humiliating moments. Breezing through my first macroeconomics class, I get my test back 55 out of 100. And I'm like, yeah, but what was the curve? Because
Hmm.
we're all smart here. We're all smart like me. Curve was like 96. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, this is
Yeah.
going to be a problem.
Hmm.
But I'm a smart kid. I'll be able to figure it out. I can also, once we're done with practice, have a couple beers with my friends
Right.
in the dorm and play, in the Super
Hmm.
Smash Bros tournament. And if I have 4 beers, I might as well have 10. And then, oh man, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to miss that 8 a.m. class. But I'm a smart kid. I'll be able to figure it out. Like I clung on to that
Yeah.
routine that I had in high school where everything was easy far too long. And the more things slipped out of my hands, the more I doubled down.
Hmm.
And I was like, well, if it's not working for me, I might as well be the funny guy that
Right.
that's showing up and drinking and missing his classes, but still has the ability to perform on the lacrosse field. Um, and it all came to a head. But you ask about the weight assigned with Notre Dame. I was too cocky and too stupid to not appreciate what I was stepping onto
Okay.
freshman year.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And then it kind of leads me into, something I try to bring up is that uh, you're, there's a lot of young men and women that coming in and they have to have that confidence in themselves, right? And I think the one thing that maybe isn't discussed is like, okay, when it gets hard, what are your tools to dealing with when it gets hard?
Yeah.
Because it will happen, and at some point you're going to question everything, and like what now, right? Or you might get hurt, and then especially at that high level, that Division 1 or a highly competitive D2 or D3, where it's like national championship or die. Like it's life. Like life is that sport, and that's
Hmm.
because there's a certain mentality it takes to achieve those things. And when that's taken away from you, whether you need to get caught up on homework because you're falling behind, or you get hurt and you leave that circle, your identity's a little different or your perspective's different. You get a chance to reflect on
Hmm.
what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess what I'm saying is, so that happened to you,
Hmm.
and it's going to happen to the next person. So I remember you did a interview after or during a rain out during a Mountain View game, which I totally screwed up the sound, and it was just total feedback. I didn't know what like a line versus mic input. Anyways, and you talked about being able to do anything for 10 minutes, right? And I don't know if that's still some advice you would give somebody to compartmentalize when things get hard, or if maybe you got a different perspective now.
No, well, and you'll realize over the extent of this interview, there are probably 15 to 20 quotes that literally just
Sure.
guide me in a lot of ways. Um, and I can do anything for 10 minutes.
Right.
That had to be trimmed down to about 3 minutes in some of those preseason,
Hmm. Yeah.
conditioning tests.
Sure.
Um, but kind of when I did start to recognize the weight of what was going on was you need a 2.0 to play. And my sophomore year, um, the fall of my sophomore year, was by far the worst semester I had in college. It was difficult classes, it was accounting to finance to, a
Hmm.
lot of math, a lot of this, a lot of that. And, what might sound silly, like, oh, finance and accounting are hard. Yeah. When
Yeah.
everybody that is at this school, like the average ACT of my incoming class was a 35. Like it is a school full of geniuses. And
Hmm.
not only are these geniuses studying more than me, but they're not exhausted. They're not exhausted
Right.
from practice or anything like that. And so again, I think I mentioned it, and I'm very much okay talking about it now, but like relying on, a bottle of Tito's to
Sure.
deal with that is
Yeah.
only something that you can do for so long.
Yeah.
And so my sophomore year, not only was I waiting on the final exam of, I can't even remember the class, to see if I was going to get a 2.0
Hmm.
to play. Um, but and it might shock people to hear this. Um, that second or third game was against Georgetown that year, and it was a nationally televised game, and I was suspended for it because I showed up drunk to practice. Like
Yeah.
it was a complete downward spiral. And you know, one of the quotes that always sticks with me was Coach Corrigan called me into his office the day after, sent me home,
Hmm.
and then he called me into his practice the day after. And I was ready to get reamed, um, and just go, okay,
Yeah.
here we go, this and that. I'm gonna have to run. I'm gonna have to fall back into the you can get through anything for 10
Sure.
minutes. But what he did and what informs a lot of my life today is he kind of just sat me down and said, like, Nick, you have two hands right now. On one hand, you have your team, you have your family, you have Notre Dame, you have me, you have Coach Byrne. He listed so much of what I had
Hmm.
going for me. He's like, in the other hand, you have a bottle of Tito's, and right now you're choosing to drink from the wrong hand. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
He and what I love so much about this was I had convinced myself that I was just a body. I was like, okay, Notre Dame's getting this utility out of my physical body,
Yeah.
but that's really all I'm good for. Like, I ain't good at class. I ain't good at this. I ain't good at
Mhm.
that. And he just put a stop to that as soon as he recognized it. He was like, no, this whole experience that you're going through is so much more. And so in these hard
Yeah.
times, I always fall back to what's on my left hand and what's on my right hand, and how do I want to deal with it. I can get through anything for 10 minutes. Something that I tell all the players these days is earn your fun. Um, there's a great Anthony Bourdain quote out there, and he speaks to there's somebody there inside of me that just wants to sit on the couch, drink beer, play video games, order a pizza,
Yeah.
and my life is a series of strategies and manipulation techniques to outwit and beat that guy in me.
Mhm.
And kind of from that, that's when I started. Guys can't go today. Like, I got study hall.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm good on that. We got a game, whatever. And I'm glad that these problems were flagged as early as they were, because in waiting to see if I was going to be able to play, which was scholarship dependent,
Mhm.
what are my backup plans? Well, if I'm just a body, it's the military. So I was, all right,
Okay.
am I going to the military or
Yeah.
am I going to get a degree from Notre Dame? Um, Nothing against the military. However, not a lot of people go to the military because they failed at a great opportunity that was gifted to them.
Yeah.
Started really paying attention to the relationships in my life. Who is looking out for me and who do I think is just fun,
Mhm.
but is actually kind of being an anchor in my life? And from those early days of trying to be the funniest guy in high school because that's where the social capital was dedicated towards,
Yeah.
you're really funny and I really like hanging out with you. I'm not going to talk to you
Yeah.
anymore. Like, it just ain't worth it. You
I
don't care.
what's funny is that sitting here listening to you is you can tell you've worked on this, like this self-improvement, and
Hmm.
it's like as an old guy, not saying you are, but
Getting there.
you have to choose to get better, and investing in yourself, self-reflecting. Those are those are skills that diminish, and then you can fall into that Anthony Bourdain quote where it's the guy on the couch playing video games that rather just be there. So
Hmm.
you had it's just another example where you have to commit to yourself, like, hey, I'm worth it. I can do this. I have something to give, not only to myself but others.
Hmm.
And then like that belief system, whether it's just as powerful as that confidence when freshman year rolling in, and probably even more powerful in the end, like that, to believe in yourself
Yeah.
and accept it. Like, yeah, I'm going to screw up, but that's cool. I'm going to learn something and move forward. So,
Oh, and I'm only talking about the massive failures right
sure,
now, but every single practice, there were micro failures. Every single class, every single quiz, every
hmm,
single test, every single social outing, every
sure,
single date. Like,
yeah.
it can take over your
Those are
life.
normal things. If you add them up, they're
Yeah,
definitely endless, right?
yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
can't focus on all those.
And so what's nice is just, would yesterday be proud of you?
Hmm.
I'm like, I started stringing together some good days that the short term dopamine hit of hanging out with buddies is important. Like, I don't want to downplay that, and I think
Yeah,
that's where a lot of the beauty of life happens. But the long term, effect of discipline is a reward that you could never know until you've at least given it a shot.
yeah,
And as soon as things started course correcting, oh, well, all of a sudden, I'm starting on midfield. All of a sudden, I had like a 3.5 my junior year. All of a sudden, everybody is just generally speaking in a better mood around me because I'm not, Mr. Ho hum drum
yeah,
class clown bullshit.
yeah. Or not
Um,
ready, right?
exactly. Like, I became a guy like anybody can, well, not everybody can make you laugh, but not everybody certainly can be relied upon.
Hmm.
It's like whatever you are, be reliable and like be consistent. And that feeling of like having your teammates count on you, knowing that your coaches
Yeah,
trusted you, that feeling of reliability trumps any any feeling that you could ever have,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I agree with you, and I think it's great. And these are great conversations, and these vulnerabilities that come up, and
Hmm.
having these are the conversations where you're sitting with your teammates or those friends that are going to make it
Hmm.
for the rest of your life. That
Hmm.
these are the cool conversations that you get to have, and that help you when you stumble. And like those party conversations are awesome, the good time guys. And I think it's learning to see which one actually has the value, and then surrounding yourself with people that make you more successful. It's a skill that needs to be worked on as well. So
One
I
and I
appreciate you sharing,
yeah.
because like everybody's like, I went D1. It was awesome. I kicked ass. I did this,
Oh,
and here
they're
I am. You know what I
lying.
mean?
They're
And it's
liars.
like, no, that's not true. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and there's a lot of failure that happens. And like, you got to be honest with yourself multiple times while doing it. And
Well, and
so,
combine that with like, I hear a lot of these kids, whether it's Idaho or whether it's
sure.
anywhere else, I want to play Division One.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's not like that's nice. Tell me more about that.
Yeah. What's that mean?
It'd just be so sick. Okay. Good. That's a good start.
You're right. It would be.
What are you willing to do to get there?
Yeah.
And they're like, or kind of on the flip side, on the parental side,
Hmm.
like, how great of an experience was it? And I'm like, it sucked
Sure.
for 95% of the time. I'm
Yeah.
in northern Indiana. I haven't seen the
Mhm.
sun. I'm vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
Um, we had an indoor practice facility that was 95 degrees, and then we're walking back in -20. Our hair's freezing.
Hmm.
Um, our we're just freezing. I
Right.
got to go to study hall after this. I got to find time to eat. Like 95% of it sucks.
Yeah.
And if it was me and six teammates sitting around this table right now, you better believe we're not talking. Oh, you remember when we won the semifinal and
Sure.
went to the national championship? You,
Right.
you remember when Coach Corrigan got so mad at us? He made us run a gasser into a
Right.
reverse gasser into a gasser
Yeah.
because me and Connor Doyle, who was one of the best attackmen in the country, we had just gotten done with so much conditioning, and then he put us in to start, and he blamed me and Connor when we were already gassed. Like, those are the
Yeah.
stories that like you end up
Yeah.
really laughing about
Yeah.
years later.
The trauma bonding for the most part that comes,
Oh, we
like out of that. Like,
yeah, we called ourselves brothers in misery,
yeah.
and there's nothing I would change about it.
Right. Okay. So you survive Notre Dame, you get
Mm.
a degree in finance business.
Marketing with a minor in economics.
Okay. And then you put your name in for the draft,
Hmm.
MLL, Tell me a little bit about that. What does that look like? I know it's changed now. I'm sure with your experience and still involvement with PLL and whatnot, and we can move that mic if you want.
No, you're
Just
good.
put it on the table. And
Okay,
yeah, where we got to put it?
I'm gonna go over to
Let's
shirt.
do it. So with that, what was it like? How did that process work? I mean, you got drafted third overall in that supplemental draft.
Yes. So, um, what was cool is you don't really know
Hmm.
if you're going to get drafted. Um, and I graduate senior year and I had football lined up. So I go through an
Hmm.
unbelievable experience with
Yeah.
football. And what was interesting is the Outlaws actually drafted me, and this PLL didn't exist, so this is all MLL.
Uh-huh.
So the Denver Outlaws drafted me the summer going into when I was going to play football. I was Mr. Irrelevant of the MLL draft, which is really
Sure.
funny. Um, I would have been higher were it not for the fact that I was going to play football. So they
Uh-huh.
drafted my rights, but when I didn't sign, my rights forfeited and went to the supplemental draft, which happens. I don't know. I'd have to go back
Okay.
into the archives, but sometime in the fall. So that supplemental draft, I went third overall, and the Chesapeake Bayhawks picked me up. And similar to how it is now, it's not a full time job.
Right.
So what I was super excited about, I'm going to play for the Bayhawks. It's in
Okay.
Annapolis, which is, a town that I learned to absolutely love. Their home field is the Naval Academy football stadium,
Yeah.
cross crazed town.
Hmm.
We're eating crab cakes, we're going out.
Right.
However, I'm a kid from Denver. I grew up watching the Outlaws and watching the Mammoth. Um, so I'm working as a supply chain consultant because PLL or MLL and indoor. I got drafted by the Mammoth,
Hmm.
so they wanted me to try out and go through that circuit. So I'm working as a supply chain consultant, and every weekend is kind of just dedicated to lacrosse. It's a very level playing field, though, because what was an everyday thing in college, you don't practice every day. You have to watch your film, you have to know your scouting report, you have to train, you have to eat right, you have
Hmm.
to get reps in, you have to go shoot, you have to find a group that can maybe get some live reps,
Sure.
1-on-1, 2-on-2, whatever it might be. Um, so the beautiful thing was that actually played to my advantage coming right out of college.
Yeah.
It
You're
was like
young. You're in shape.
young, in shape, physical player
Hmm.
that played against a lot of these guys in college that are now drafted. So,
Yeah.
a guy from Hobart gets drafted. Um, Yeah, his name was Alex Love. He was the greatest shooter I've ever met. He couldn't tell you anything about anyone else in the league. He was just like, "I'm here to shoot and ball out," and he's like my one of my favorite teammates ever. But I played with Brendan Mundorf, who I grew up watching. I
Yeah.
got some really good friends, and it was the biggest like moment of pride, especially when I got traded back from
Hmm.
Chesapeake to Denver. I'm running out on the field and it's an
Yeah.
80,000 seat arena. 2,000 of them were filled. We're playing in an empty barn, and
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, I was one of those kids one day, and now
Yeah.
you know
And here
I'm
you
here,
are.
and I here made it.
Yeah.
But you kind of quickly realize you stack up enough "I made it" moments in life.
Hmm.
You realize that if you focus on those moments, you've already lost. If I sat there at Notre Dame and went like, "Oh,
Yeah.
finally made it. I'm on the roster," I would have never played.
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, I got some face-offs in."
Hmm.
Would have never gotten trusted for D mid and
Yeah.
then O mid and then all of a sudden first line mid and starting face-off guy. So it's kind of those moments of like, "Yep, I made it. Back to the task at hand."
Yeah. That's awesome.
Dwelling on accomplishments is such a
Yeah.
sad thing to do for more than a couple days.
Sure. So let me ask you this then. Do you get uncomfortable having to talk about these things? Or is it like, um, do you look forward to when maybe you're not just Nick Ossello, the lacrosse guy?
I'm never not going to be.
Okay.
Uh,
Are you okay with that? Like, is that something that,
yeah.
okay.
In the same way that we were talking about when I was in,
Hmm.
you'll notice some themes over the course of this episode.
Right.
And a lot of it is kind of that balance of, okay, I'm a class clown and I'm an athlete. Which
Hmm.
one am I? And I
Hmm.
get to college. Oh, those things
Yeah.
don't, that's not a recipe for success. I also need to be disciplined, in
Yeah.
the classroom, whatever it might be. You get done with that. Okay, what am I in the corporate setting? No one really appreciates the funny jokester in the office because you have to tone it down. The office is
Yeah.
not the locker room.
Timing really comes into play there.
Boy, does it. And
And
boy,
yeah,
do
and audience. Yeah.
and that like I am confident in who I am only because I have so many reps of falling on my
Right.
face
Hmm.
in an attempt to be who I'm not. But locker room
Sure.
any day of the week.
Yeah.
I'll make everybody laugh. Romar Dennis, funniest guy I've ever met. Eric Law, like us three, we would just have everybody in stitches.
Hmm.
Um, but no, I don't get comfortable on talking about it, and I I'll say I don't mind being known as the lacrosse guy, but if you know me for more than a month and still think that,
Yeah.
you either are
You're not
forcing
listening.
that or,
Yeah.
that just kind of tells me that it's a surface level friendship and we
Sure.
probably shouldn't hang out too much.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think that's
What are
great.
you pigeonhole as? Do you have any pigeonholes?
Mm, let's see. Yeah, throughout my career, I kind of had, let's think, as a, my career, I've worked at City of Boise 14 years. So
Mhm,
started out mowing, painting doors. Now I'm helping the design, build, and staff the first of its kind advanced water treatment facility
mhm,
in the Northwest. So along that way, there was a lot of like overcoming. what people thought, or because I enjoyed or loved what I was doing or learning. Uh, I could maybe I wasn't looked at as seriously as some other people because like I like to have fun with what I'm doing.
Hmm.
And as a job that I've had where I was in wastewater, like dealing with a lot of people's crap. Quite like it's like that's a
Boo.
joke, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I've been in waders
Yeah.
finding a broken valve that is 1,500 gallons of, you can tell exactly what it is,
Yeah.
and like yeah, like once again things get hard, and like how you react to that,
Yeah.
and the people that you're around, same
Hmm.
thing, man, like all the same stuff, like suffering through that, but like we're gonna have a good time together when we're here,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna let it beat us. So
Well,
similar stuff, and then my son Carter's a great dude, and my wife is amazing at what she does, and I'm just trying to keep up with them,
yeah.
tell you the truth. So, yeah, same stuff. I've battled through, or identity crisis as
Hmm.
well. Plenty of the right social decisions, wrong social decisions, uh, all that stuff. So,
Well, and what
but
was interesting, and again, it's something I reflect a lot on a lot, and I feel like these two moments in particular guided a lot of
hmm
my relationship with sports. State championship my senior year of high school. We're going against Christian McCaffrey's Valor Christian team.
yeah,
Turns out they're pretty good. Um,
right,
and that
yeah,
that social capital that I had accumulated through sports success, which is so stupid.
hmm
If you're watching, being good at sports
yeah,
doesn't make you cool.
sure,
Um, but with that said, more students started coming out to the games the
yeah,
better we got. Oh, they're chanting my name. That's really cool.
right,
But it just kept elevating all the way until the pinnacle of what you could experience at Wheat Ridge High School, which is being the quarterback of the state championship football team. We got destroyed, and the same student section that was cheering my name
right,
booed me off the field. Like my classmates were
hmm
booing me, and I struggled with that for so long. And then the national championship, like when you're an athlete and the stakes are high, unfortunately, your successes or failures are public entertainment,
yeah,
right? So we played Duke my junior year. I didn't have a particularly good game, but I would argue I didn't do anything to lose the game. And log on to my phone an hour after the game, whatever it might be. Oh, let's see what Twitter's
sure,
saying. And I have a DM from, user 105832,
yeah,
some burner, faceless, nameless name. And it was like, you just ruined the game for the Irish. Stephen Linnea should have had an abortion. Like, you should kill yourself.
right,
And I was like, oh, man, like that also really,
hmm that's a
affected me
lot
for a
right
little
now,
bit.
yeah,
And, what was kind of nice was, using the term nice was those two moments helped me get ahead of the inevitable identity crisis when you're
hmm
done with your career. Because those two moments, I kind of forced myself to disassociate from sports in general. Where I
yeah,
was like, if my classmates only think of me as somebody who can succeed or fail with an athletic endeavor, what are they doing?
yeah,
If this Twitter guy just got under my skin for a week, well, who is this guy? I
so
wouldn't take advice from him.
right,
I'm sure
why
not going to
why
take
should he
criticism.
matter?
And
Yeah,
by the way, like I'm the one doing it. It's why I get really frustrated with people who are very critical of college football players in
hmm
particular. Like, a kid drops the football, cut that kid's scholarship, kick him off the
right,
team, blah, blah, blah. These death threats from gambling. You just blew a parlay, kill yourself. And I'm
yeah,
just like, man, if you knew half of the work that went in to have that kid
yeah,
be on that field, it's 100 times more than anything you've ever done in your life. Um, and anytime Notre Dame loses a football game, bummer. And I
right,
have friend adjacent people, acquaintances, when their favorite group of 18 to 22-year-olds loses, their week is over. And I'm like, it's just an embarrassing thing for me to watch. Where I'm like,
right,
you have no clue what these guys are doing to prepare,
Hmm.
and yet you still think so much of yourself that you can be critical. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
End rant.
No, that's great. That's great. Um, we've done a significant amount of shows so far on your past, um, pre-Idaho,
Yeah,
which I love hearing about. That's part of this show is sharing for the local guys
yeah.
and gals why Idaho, how to
Oh boy.
happen, and
Oh boy.
let me ask you, like, when the time when you're like, okay, this is it. I'm putting roots down here.
Yeah. I'll briefly give
Okay.
context into it. The by far the darkest time of my life led me to Idaho. And I was in a bad relationship in Denver,
Hmm.
in like late 20 teens. We break up. She steals all my stuff. I go home to a stone cold empty apartment. And at that same time, a lot of the people that I was relying on in Colorado developed insanely bad drinking habits to the point where I could no longer rely on the places that I kind of called
Sure.
home. Um, and so Denver had nothing for me, aimless, wanderless, just lost. We started a company to travel and coach. COVID doesn't
Yeah.
make that easy.
Hmm.
And so, right about this time, I remember my credit card debt surpassed my savings for the first time in my life. And talk about identity crisis. I was like, I thought I had been doing, generally speaking, the right things, was playing pro lacrosse, had just retired. So that was in the
Yep.
rear view. Um, And, I was just like, I just blew a Notre Dame opportunity. Even years later, I'm like, I ruined this. Like, I had the world on a golden plate, and now I'm, in the
Hmm.
shitter. So, talk about having to do a self assessment. I was like, okay, well, what even are you good at, and what guides you? And I was like, okay, curiosity and empathy. Let's just throw those on the board. I'm curious about stuff, and generally speaking, I hate when people are having a bad time. I can feel it. I'm empathetic
Yeah.
towards your story. And you're good at lacrosse. Okay. So I started a road trip in Denver right as all that stuff was happening. On that road trip, I hit 38 states. I was living out of my car, a Subaru, which it is for tough guys. Um, and I literally just went from town to town coaching clinics. And one of the first stops I had was Boise. And Gary Wheeler was actually one of the first people in Idaho that I called. And I just said, "Hey, I saw your name on
Hmm.
a website. If I could run a lacrosse clinic, that'd be great." And he was so receptive, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'll set up this place, Heritage Middle. We'll
Hmm.
get the high school boys out, et cetera, et cetera." And really, the impact that had, a nice. I was like, I got 1,500 bucks to get to the next town,
Yep.
whatever it was. And B, he was like adamant that we go out for a beer with some of the other parents afterwards. And we went to the Good Apple.
Okay.
And we just sat there and had beers. And I was just watching this community, and all the parents were laughing and getting along. There were some little kids scurrying about.
Hmm.
And I was just like, huh, this is, I don't even know if I recognized it in the moment, but that image always stayed in my head. And then I went California, back briefly through Colorado, Iowa, Dallas, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Nashville, Annapolis, Rochester, Cincinnati. Like, just
Yeah.
I was running away.
Yeah.
And when it kind of got time to be serious, I ended up taking a quick job in San Diego with the SEALs to get
Hmm.
into broadcasting and sports media and things like that. And I was like, hey, this ain't it. I don't have a plan, but that image in Boise and my time in Boise and wanting to spend
Yeah.
more time
How
there.
many how many days was that? Like 2, 3
It was
days?
2 days, but I
Yeah.
I had since gone back a couple times.
Okay.
So I probably had spent 2 weeks in Boise
Yeah.
total before going. I just met this smoke show in Nashville. Turns out that's my fiance now. Boom.
Hmm. Boom.
And I was like, I don't even know what the plan is. She's in Dallas, but I need to go live in Boise. And so I moved to Boise kind of with not a huge plan. We were running second slide, and
Hmm.
I think what drew me to it was a sense of community, the sense of safety, the sense of this is an area where should I be blessed to have a kid, I can
Yeah.
give him or her that sampler platter of
Yeah.
what do you want to do? There is an opportunity
Hmm.
for you there.
Okay. So show up. So you come back,
Hmm.
uh, and then you come back through the way of a local player, Drew Nelson. Is that right? And those guys,
Yeah.
and start doing clinics and helping do some recruiting that way. And so now you're here.
Hmm.
You're working. You're working. You're trying to set those roots. I think that might have been about the time that I met you. Still calling Seals games.
Yeah.
Still do,
Yeah.
right? ESPN. Um, and then still trying to find like your piece of the pie here.
Hmm.
Did you coach the BK
Hmm.
Second Slide, this
Hmm.
team clothing support
Yeah.
company, which we get into.
Yeah.
You're working on still grinding through all that, and then eventually you end up getting uh, fill me in,
Hmm.
help us get that little gap, and how you're like now you're trying to basically you're setting you're digging into the lacrosse community more
Yeah.
than ever before.
Yeah. And I was running clinics. I
Hmm.
work for ESI,
Yeah,
of which Neil's the president,
yeah,
and I'm planning on being there until I retire. And a big reason why, um, because during this road trip, I was, angry at Notre Dame, at lacrosse, at this and that, at so many people and things that could
yeah,
have helped me out. And here I am living out of my car. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to show up to Boise. I don't have a plan. I know some parents.
sure,
And again, another Bourdain quote that, I grasp onto. And at that point, for dear life, was like, never decline a random offering of hospitality. And I remember I talked to Phil and Mona Warshall, Wiley's parents.
okay,
And I just go, hey, Phil and Mona, I'm coming into town. I don't know. I don't have a plan. And almost before I finished that sentence, they were like, come and stay at our place. And so I spent, and I don't know how many people know this, but I spent a month with Phil and Mona just starting to get this sense of second slide.
hmm,
Okay, we're starting to become profitable. Okay, I'm putting a little money in my pocket, certainly not enough to afford rent anywhere,
hmm,
a little money being a couple $100 a month. Um, and then I was like, okay, I didn't it wasn't like they kicked me out and were like, you got to get out of here. I was like,
yeah,
I'm uncomfortable with how generous you're being. And
yeah,
then that's when I called Neil, and I still didn't really know what Neil did. And I was just like, Neil, here's the deal. I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm running second slide. And he goes, you should work for ESI. And I go, nice try. I'm running a startup that's going to kill
yeah,
it.
right,
You should come work for second slide.
yeah,
Oh, yuck, yuck, yuck. We did that for about 2 years,
uh-huh,
and 2 years of just grinding to get this platform off the ground. By the end, it was decent enough money to where when I convinced my girlfriend at the time, now fiance, to move from Dallas to Boise, we could split rent
hmm,
and we could get groceries. Date night,
sure,
how you like sneaking into a movie? How's that sounding?
yep, why not?
Yeah,
A little sense of adventure never hurt anybody.
exactly.
Yeah,
How do you like a walk along the river? Doesn't that sound
hmm,
nice?
so romantic.
And so finally it kind of got to crunch time, through these incredibly difficult financial hardships
Hmm.
that I would not have gotten through had I not learned the lessons about, above all, lacrosse taught me endurance and outlasting will get you further than anything else.
Yeah,
Like if you can just get through the next day, you can do
hmm,
anything for 10 minutes.
yeah.
And boy, had I had enough little 10-minute sections in life.
You know what's nice, Nick, interviewing you as a professional, that you're a professional broadcaster. You do a great job of bringing it back for me.
I try to. I try to, because sometimes I'll
Okay.
just, all right,
No,
we got
I
to
think
bring
you
it
did.
back.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Not to stop in the middle of the story, but and silly enough, while I'm interviewing, talking to you, I'm also trying to learn myself. So,
yeah,
but no, I appreciate you bringing those back. The so we're getting our foot. We got the girl, right?
yep,
We got a home. We got a
yep,
dog yet?
yep. Oh yeah,
Got the dog.
I'm a proud stepfather.
Good.
Dog was baggage in the relationship.
It was a package deal.
Oh, she's the best.
Okay. So here's because you're such an honest and open person, I really appreciate that. A lot of times we talk about the warm and fuzzy side of lacrosse and
Mhm.
like locally here. So part of I'm using this platform to be like, we all have the same problems. We can work together. There's a lot of we can we can make it grow and we can do it together.
Mhm.
All that rah stuff.
Mhm.
But a man that traveled to 38 states doing clinics has this incredible history of lacrosse,
Mhm.
coast to coast, north to south. Uh, I don't know what they are for sure, but I know we're not doing something right.
Mhm.
And I'd appreciate any feedback you might have, like how we're in our own way, maybe a little here
Ooh.
for Idaho lacrosse. And then, like, if we could just address a couple things,
Yeah.
like, and get those out of the way, like, we can take it to the
Mhm.
next level. And I don't know if you have those thoughts or,
Well, I do,
okay,
and it's the commissioner of the high school
that guy,
association,
great.
Greg
Yeah.
Harris.
Luckily, he's outgoing.
Get him out of town. No, it's a good question for sure that I could take in so many
Okay.
different directions. Really, what it comes down for me, and I will be honest, this is how I describe the state of Boise lacrosse and Idaho
Sure.
lacrosse to my other PLL buddies. Is I'm
Okay.
like, it's a couple hyenas fighting over a dead carcass that could provide one meal.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the biggest thing that I noticed that was prevalent in Colorado during my time growing up, that is prevalent in strong lacrosse communities, is the lack of it being a zero sum game. I have to win, which means you
Right.
lose.
Yeah.
And everybody has that talking point
Hmm.
about we're doing it for the good of the sport.
Yep.
No, you're not.
Hmm.
You just are not. And I'll bucketize that into two things. We will absolutely discuss kind of the club scene
Okay.
here, but even beyond that, and this is not a criticism of it by any means, but you look at board turnover, I think is the number one example
Okay.
of this.
Can you help me out on what board level you're talking?
Any board
Okay.
level. So and what that means is like not a lot of people have lacrosse experience here.
Hmm.
That's only going to be fixed with time. However, what could help in the interim is so much of these EVYLL clubs, this high school, public, private,
Hmm.
whatever it might be. I'm involved in the board
Yeah.
until my son graduates. And the second my son graduates, I did my job, I'm out. I'm going to be with my kid trying to get my kid to
Right. The best situation.
and people will say,
Hmm.
parents in particular will say, I am just trying to get a good lacrosse experience for my son. In reality, they mean I'm going to try and get my son to be a state champion.
Hmm.
And that drives me insane. I'm like, an Idaho lacrosse state championship means nothing. And I would tell the players at BK this. The
Sure.
Colorado High School Lacrosse Championship means nothing. Lacrosse as an entire entity is a supplement to pursue something greater than the sport of lacrosse.
Yeah.
And so many people view it as the end all be all, as I'm going to do things that will put an advantage in my son. And then the second his lacrosse career is over, I'm no longer part of it. And not only no longer a part of it, I'm not leaving the packet of information on how everything is ran. I'm not leaving a trail of
Right.
success and
Right.
failure.
Yes.
I'm just leaving this knowledge gap that inevitably it seems like, okay, this is going well.
Yeah.
Group of seniors graduates and all this tribal knowledge left. Now we're back to square one.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Figure it out. Have fun.
and what I will say, what has me optimistic, not to talk about the warm and fuzzy side,
Yeah. I think it's okay.
it's
Let's
just
do
a
both.
matter of time. The Gannon Matthews are
Yeah.
back in town. It's not going to be long before the Rowan Hines and the
Hmm.
Wileys and the Crews, if they land jobs in Boise and join the coaching ecosystem, that to me is the number one biggest game changer. Because not only can they coach, but they'll probably have enough experience to coach coaches.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of people out there that are doing the best they can with what they have, but they don't have a lot of lacrosse experience. They don't have the ability to draw on games. Even the worst football coach you've ever met probably grew up watching football,
Sure.
knows the positions, knows the time, knows penalties.
Mhm.
Um, so I would say the lack of shared tribal knowledge and the lack of continuity in processes year over year
Yeah.
for everybody,
Hmm.
and then bucketize that with a selfless approach to the game for the benefit of either mine or my kid's career. And then once it's done, those two kind of go hand in hand. And I'll put my hand up and say, I'm not doing enough about it. And I guarantee you, when I have a kid, it's probably going to be the same thing for me. Um, so I don't blame anybody in this
Yeah.
position,
No, I asked,
but at the
what
same
can we
time,
do
like,
better?
what
Like,
could we do better?
what
Well,
does reality look like here
yeah.
from an outside perspective? And I agree with you. I just had a DM with somebody about how it's changing. The generations are changing. The knowledge is coming back home
Hmm.
in more and more ways, and at the same time, we're sending more out to gain that experience and that knowledge. And what's nice is more kids are traveling further away, so the parents learn
Hmm.
as well and see it differently,
Hmm.
right? Because it's not Northwest lacrosse. It's getting better, but it's not the same as anywhere else. And I sometimes I question whether East Coast lacrosse is the lacrosse. Um, and it might be. I'm not saying
As
it's not.
opposed to,
Like, is that the only way of doing it? Like, it
yes.
has to be that way. Okay, there you go.
You and again, like, if I will
Hmm.
criticize the club,
Yeah,
which again, I've spent time coaching at True and I've spent time coaching at Cityside. Um, like, one of the first things I remember trying to suggest was like we could have a True versus Cityside to see who the better one is, and then all the coaches should grill hamburgers and
right.
let's have this big showing that, like, hey, even though we're like this, there's something greater here. And
Hmm.
that idea got shot down in about 2 seconds. And I'm like, okay, thought you'd be a little more receptive
Yeah.
to that. And it's the number one question I get asked from parents right now. Should my kid play city side or should my kid play
Hmm.
true? And what I tell them is, don't ask me. Like, they're two sides of the same coin as far as I'm concerned. With differences in
Yeah.
staff and everything like that. But with that being said, I'm like, what your kids should get out of club lacrosse is a sense for how much they suck at lacrosse. And that was the most valuable thing Denver Elite ever taught me was, if you're going to take this seriously, club practices were 100 times harder than high school practices. Um, we would condition. We we got to a certain point, and if you're a player listening to this, and I've tried to get this ball rolling, and it frustrates me to no
Yeah.
end that we haven't. But I'm working with kids that are trying to get recruited or are being recruited or are committed.
Yeah.
And I said the best lacrosse and the way I got better was by my senior year on that Denver Elite team. We had a side group chat of 20 of the best players in Colorado. It included Tanner Ottenbright, who played at Virginia. It included Ryan LaPlante, who played at Denver. It included these high caliber
Hmm.
players. We would show up to a park in a generally centralized location with a rage cage, put on our high school equipment, and battle each other. And we would take a break about every 10 to 15 minutes and then literally gather up and go, Tanner, you're guarding me. What are you seeing? He's like, dude, your jab step's getting predictable. I'm like, okay, what? And we would literally like be walking through this.
Yeah.
I learned more from the opponents and the players that I grew up with and competed against in high school and at Notre Dame than most of the coaches. Um, and I'm like, if you want to go get recruited, get this group of 20 kids. I'll show up and I'll suit up. I've even offered to do that, and it ends up falling flat every time.
Right.
Um, and then the final point, that while I'm on this rant
Yeah. I
about
love it.
players right now, do not ask me and do not ask your coach and do not talk to True or City Side about what your college prospects are, or if they think you'll be able to play lacrosse, if you don't have a favorite team and a favorite player. The game is more accessible now than it ever has been in the history of humanity. I grew up an avid Duke lacrosse fan. I grew up a Mammoth fan. I grew up an Outlaws fan. I also did all that other stuff, the skiing, the hiking, the
Yeah.
fishing, the
Hmm.
Broncos, the Avalanche. I if you're telling me that you're wanting to play lacrosse, but you're not taking the time to say, I really loved Chris Kavanaugh at Notre Dame this year. I really loved Aiden McGuire at
Right.
Duke. I really loved insert name at
Hmm.
school. And again, no offense to a great friend of mine, Brandon Pearl, but when they say Boise State's my favorite lacrosse team,
Yeah.
like you are ruining an opportunity to become obsessed with a game that could take you all over the place.
Sure.
God, it drives me nuts that they're not willing to get a group chat and meet up once a week, and that they don't have a favorite team.
Yeah, they're not a fan.
Yeah, they're not.
Not a fan of the game. That is interesting to think about. It's odd that young players don't have that person to watch
Yeah,
on a
and
national level,
well, and I'm very cognizant of
or they
the
choose not to, I
yeah,
should say. Yeah.
yeah, the financial burden that lacrosse has.
Sure.
But we're trying to get Jared Newman to come to town.
Hmm.
We announced it, posted it, and we canceled because in a week and a half there were 3 registrations,
Yeah,
and
and
I'm like,
they're probably like, "Who's that guy?"
yeah. So I think my frustration from these players not having favorite players,
Hmm.
these Boise athletes going, oh, I don't know, never
Right.
thought about it. I'm like, if you did, and if I heard, like, that's where I really feel like I could plug and play.
Yeah.
Be like, name anybody, and I could work to get them on a flight here to run a 2-day clinic. Like anybody in the sport of
Right.
lacrosse. And it sometimes just falls on deaf ears. And well, again, I'm not critical of that mindset
Yeah.
because you don't know what you don't know. Sometimes I'm like, man, that could be such a good value add I have in the community,
Yeah.
but there just is not
Yeah. So
the
I guess
demand.
one of the things I've kind of noticed is education,
Mm,
right? Is sometimes we have to educate, like, what is it out there? What resources are available? What is it that you need to know, right? Like, or what is it that they don't know? Can we show them what they need to know? And is that an opportunity? Yeah. Is there a way to set up watching events more so? Like, yeah, lacrosse is on like every paid event or every paid channel you got to get. It's very few times is it on ABC, easy to access. Now there is the internet, right? There's YouTube, there's
mhm,
all those things. But how can we get them in a space where we're hosting a barbecue, we're watching the event? It's like football's that way, right?
mhm,
Family is having it's on, we're eating terrible, the noise, it's a comfort.
mhm.
So how can we make it a comfort? Make lacrosse that comfort sound and part of the home
Yeah, I mean
as
there
well.
there are two things. I've tried to set up game watches, and similar to the Jared Newman clinic, it
Okay.
just fails.
Okay.
Um, and it's why if you've listened to my tone,
Hmm.
I almost get more frustrated that the kids aren't finding a player on YouTube. That's their favorite
Yeah.
player. That's their favorite team. When are they on? I want to go watch them,
Yeah.
whether it's college or PLL. I was always a big college fan. And from the family side, I don't blame them for this. And it just is how it is. Who is going to sacrifice a weekend on the boat so that their kid can watch a lacrosse game?
Sure.
The parent whose kid is
Quality
begging,
dads. I'm going to tell you that.
the parent whose kid is begging,
Yeah.
right? But none of these kids would watch a lacrosse game in lieu of whatever your activity is during the summer weekends or even during the spring weekends. Um, so I think there are two things. One is it's a chicken and egg. You can't force a kid to be a fan of something, but you can recommend YouTube videos and then just say,
Right.
listen, I grew up in a weird time where unmonitored screen time, like
Sure.
nobody knew how bad all that stuff was. So I would just spend hours on YouTube. Steven Pizer was my favorite player.
Okay.
And then I go into the backyard and try and emulate him. Who are you trying to emulate in the backyard? If
Mhm.
you're a parent listening to this, get your kid 30 minutes on YouTube and say, by the end of these 30 minutes, I want to hear who your favorite player is and show me those moves in the backyard. Um, and then kind of the second aspect of it, I think there's a huge opportunity for local aspirations. I remember when I was in sixth or seventh grade. It was one of the first 2 years I started playing
Hmm.
lacrosse, and I started playing in fifth. Um, it was, like youth night at the Wheat Ridge High School.
Yeah.
And Wheat Ridge was playing Golden, a big rivalry. And me and my buddies, we're kind of playing fiddlesticks off to the side,
Hmm.
but we're also watching the game. These massive, huge guys that
Sure.
were like, 5'10",
Yeah.
150. And during halftime, they got the announcer to have, the youth players line up and then run out and get recognized. My first lacrosse dream was to be like the hero of Wheat Ridge High School. And I think that there is such a massive opportunity to have the next great player be like, oh, I want to set a record for Boise High School. I want to be an All American
Hmm.
at Rocky Mountain. I want my name in the rafters of Bishop Kelly, whatever it might be. Like that almost,
Yeah.
that local aspiration.
No, I think that's great. And you know, to some of the players that I know that, um, they've made choices to go to high schools because I'm so enthralled with this interview. I'm bad at cameras this time. Switch
Oh,
them on.
no
But
worries.
uh, they choose it because of there was those historic players. Like the open schools, or maybe even how we ended up in this home that we're in is because uh, son Carter wanted to follow in those footsteps and play like those guys played,
Hmm.
and to achieve it. And there's a sense of pride and responsibility to carry that torch on, right? Like, don't
Hmm.
let those guys down. And yeah, and getting those young players in early, and because we're eating our own to a certain extent, uh, we're we're missing that big picture,
Hmm.
right? Like, nope. It's going to be hard to get the announcements or whatever, or we need to find a speaker because we only play on a grass field.
Hmm.
Get the speaker. Valley View does a great job of that, right? Like,
Great job,
they're
actually.
having an experience
Yeah.
regardless of where they're at or what they're playing at. It could be an abandoned parking lot. They're going to make it a quality experience for everybody there and for the future and upcoming
Yeah.
Falcons.
Well,
So
and even like, the easiest path right now I see for that is let's identify, I don't know, 4 days. Two in the summer and then two, I don't know, spring.
okay.
And one is youth day for the state. And you know, I understand the level of coordination and planning
Hmm.
it takes. But if the TVYLL and SWILA are on the same page, you know, April 19th, we'll
Hmm.
call it, to April 21st. Those 3 days, get ready for your team to play a doubleheader. We're going to mix in youth recognition at halftime.
Yeah.
At halftime, we're going to do like they do at Steelheads games. The little guys are going to come out and
Yep.
play a game of three by, and the championship game is going to happen on the last game of whatever doubleheader. Like there just seems like these community events where it's like you sit down, you sit down, you sit down. This isn't about any individual team. This is about the entire
Yeah.
Boise lacrosse ecosystem. And then 2 days in the summer where it's like you're this supersedes your crew or city side practice. This supersedes your family vacation.
Yeah.
Like we have four PLL players coming in. We have even Terry Foy, the CEO of Inside of Lacrosse, the CEO of Inside Lacrosse.
Hmm.
I'm like, I could get him to come out and do, a panel on the state of recruiting to all the parents. We can make it applicable. A groomsman in my wedding is going to be Will Corrigan, the offensive coordinator at Michigan. He's expressed interest in coming out. The assistant coach at Utah is interested in coming up. And I'm like, if we just identified two or
Yeah.
3 days to get everybody on the same page,
Yep.
make it relevant for, hey, it's going to be a coaches clinic with Division I coaches. It's going to be a
Yeah.
players clinic with PLL
Hmm.
players. And for the parents, come loaded with questions. And don't expect answers on how good your kid is or how good the state of lacrosse is. Because guess what? Like the parents need to hear the hard truth as much as the kids,
Yeah.
which are either going to motivate them or not if they want to go to college.
No, I think that's great. And it's funny because sometimes I think I'm crazy because I'm like, why can't there be a recruiting event here? Why can't there be a prospect? day
Hmm.
here, right? And that's exactly what you're getting at. Like summertime, yes, we'll bring these in. Your parents cough up some, you know, manageable amount of money. They're going to get everything that they're going to get that small group setting coaching one on one to
Hmm.
where the kid can ask that coach, that person, what about this? Process through something. They'll have that time. Same time they're getting exposure. Parents are getting educated. Like that can all happen here, just like it does anywhere else.
Hmm.
And I'm in. Like I want to do this and help this happen. And I know that the scariest thing to ever do is just start,
Hmm.
right? So I think there's some other people in the community to be open to help support this. I think facilities would be available if we really wanted to do this. Like absolutely, why
Yeah.
not? And then what happens if it doesn't work? Well, we
Then
tried,
all the
right? Yeah,
PLL guys go, "Oh, Nick's the crackpot we all
yeah.
knew he
Well, right,
was," and
yeah.
I go, "Hey, no worries.
And
Next
they're
one's
gonna have
for me."
a great time in Boise. So,
And that's kind of the final point is I get asked from my PLL buddies,
mhm,
"How you like in Idaho?" And I'm like, "I want to be buried here."
yeah,
You know, I recognize and I've lived enough life to know how lucky I am to be doing what I love in a place that I love with somebody that I love. Like the major boxes
yeah,
for me have kind of fallen, and it took a lot
mhm,
of really not good times
sure,
to not just know who I am as a person, but to know what environment I thrive in. It's this.
yeah,
Um, and I do want to show it off and say, you as a PLL player, as a Division One coach, as a member of lacrosse media, who knows, maybe that week or that those 2 days to
hmm
start off with something slow. The reason why Southern California has such a prominent lacrosse program, Alex Cade and Steve Cepetto co-founded Adrenaline Lacrosse, who I work for.
uh-huh,
They convinced Coach Corrigan at Notre Dame, their alma mater, who they played under, "Hey, we're going to put together a recruiting tournament in Southern California. Why don't you come on out? We'll fly you out.
mhm,
You'll watch a handful of games." You ask Coach Corrigan about those early San Diego tournaments. He goes, "I was sleeping on Alex Cade's couch,
sure,
100 beers deep, and it was the worst lacrosse you've ever seen in your life."
right,
But and he was, I don't even know how old he was. He's been at the helm at Notre Dame
hmm
forever. But he reflects so fondly on those moments. And I'm like, what moments
yeah,
can we curate in Boise where I used to coach at the Air Force Academy? You have your serious tournaments, and then you always have one or two
hmm
where you're like, hey, you going to this one, you going to
right,
this one. It takes two good experiences for some of these coaches to go, "Yeah, you should check out Boise."
yeah,
Like, I know. Just go check it out.
yeah.
Um,
Okay.
uh,
Hey, appreciate your time. I want to end on a couple fun things.
oh,
I've been
really?
doing this. Not that it hasn't been fun, but
Yeah,
uh, I've
we've
I've been
just
trying to
been
get some.
bragging.
Yeah, no, we're doing great. I really appreciate your time. You've been
Yeah.
very generous with everything. A couple things that themes that I've been trying to carry through is pregame rituals or superstitions.
Um, I was never a pregame superstition guy.
Okay.
It's probably won't be the answer you're looking for,
I'm
but
just hype music, any kind of ritual that you would do.
I would always watch a Disney movie the night before a game.
Okay.
I would
Which one?
usually Tangled or The Lion King.
Interesting.
And reason I would get so excited and kind of in that same mentality we were talking about. I always want to be a football player. So when I'm
Hmm
getting ready for a lacrosse game, I want to go out and put the crown of my helmet into somebody's chin.
Sure.
And I was chasing the big hit instead of the goal. It took me so long to realize that's not
Right.
how to be a successful lacrosse player. But the night before the game, like I would really struggle to sleep
Okay.
because I'd just be, visualizing and attacking in my head. And so my favorite movie of all time is The Lion King. Tangled's fantastic. So I would watch one of those two
hmm
movies to kind of distract me from
Yeah.
blowing any
I think
um,
that's great.
energy the night before.
That's also probably something you might not know about Nick Ossello, big Disney connoisseur of sorts. So that's a fun fact.
Disney pre 2013, we'll
Okay.
call it.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's
I don't like these live action remakes.
DVD at least, right? It's got to
Yeah,
be on
if it's on DVD,
DVD. Okay,
Blu-ray,
yeah, I'm
yeah,
a VHS guy, I guess,
VHS
but yeah,
preferable.
maybe
Aladdin
Beta.
on VHS.
I did see Beta back in the day, so that was the
What's Beta?
yeah. We'll get into it later.
Like 8-track?
Yeah, that's close. Uh, and then you talked a few about a few of these couple guys, coaches, or teammates that always made you laugh, no matter what, like if it's in the suck or whatever, like those dudes.
You know, the funniest guy I've ever met. He's not going to be a name many people know, but it was Matty Collins,
Okay.
Marty Collins. He was a short stick defensive midfielder.
Hmm.
He wasn't much for a player. He wasn't going to score the flashy goal, but he was just kind of one of those greasy D
Hmm.
mids. His dad's a great guy. His younger brother was a stud, Brendan Collins.
Yeah.
I've never been in the same room not laughing. And I put such a premium on that my sophomore year. I was like, I'm having a bad day, this and that. Matty
Yeah.
Collins. I voted you got to vote for captains. I voted Matty Collins for captain. I was the only vote for Matty Collins. And
He didn't even vote for himself.
it was such a bad vote that Coach Corrigan brought me into his office and was like, "What are you doing
Yeah.
voting for
Why?
Matty Collins?"
Explain this to
And
me.
I'm like, "Well, it's kind of sometimes you're having a bad
Yeah.
day, week, month, year.
Sure.
And this year's been tough. And I liked going in and knowing that Matty Collins was going to make me laugh. And then the funniest pro player is Romar Dennis.
Okay.
And it's so funny. You watch him in front of the camera and he's like, "Oh yeah, it was a good game, this and that." Second the camera turns off, I'm like, "Oh, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire life." We got a good group chat. Me, Romar
Yeah.
Dennis, Mikey Schlosser, Eli Gobrecht, and Max Adler.
Okay.
Outside of Max, that's a pretty funny group.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Max,
I
not
even
that
got the
funny.
camera up for you. I need
Yeah.
one of those lights
Max,
that
you're not that
says
funny.
which camera's on.
Yeah.
But
No, that's all right.
and then I'd be doing you injustice if we don't get you a chance to pitch your second slide.
Oh yeah, yeah, true.
So tell me about that. I'll get the stuff up
Yeah.
on the show.
The 30-second pitch. When people are buying uniforms, t-shirts, tank
Hmm.
tops, jerseys, balls, cages, who's profiting? Well, it certainly isn't the lacrosse team. Um, so me and some former Notre Dame lacrosse players, and we've since looped in Boston College women's, Brent Adams with the Atlas,
Nice.
a lot of other technical folks. We set out to change that. And so what you do to partner with Second Slide, you reach out to me, give me a call, and then we give you access to wholesale pricing. We let you run your own e-commerce play. We let you sell the things that you're already
Hmm.
selling and somebody else is making money off of. Um, we let you start making your own money. Somebody out there needs to make 30% on everything sold. Like it might as well be your team. Um, it was such a difficult company and it was such a difficult start that where it's at now has made everything so worthwhile. And relatively breaking news. I mean, I'm going to be tweeting about it here in a couple days, but we
Okay.
just surpassed. Um, I think a month ago when we were running the numbers, we just surpassed $1 million being sent back to programs,
That's amazing.
which was an awesome milestone for us. So
Yeah.
$1 million back, and we just built out our tech stack to partner with athletic departments. So if anyone's hearing this,
Okay.
introduce me to an AD, a coach, a
Okay.
parent who's running running the swag on the team.
Hmm.
They get to do it all. They
Yeah.
don't have to ask you questions, and it's on your door in
Yeah.
7 to 10
And it's not
days.
new here. We got local teams using it.
Yep.
So it's catching on. Great opportunity.
Yeah, million
Customize
bucks.
your own team store too,
Yep.
right? Like
We'll
how
work
it
with you
looks.
on
Yeah.
new logos. We'll work with you on new products.
Yeah.
If you've used us and have stopped using us,
Hmm.
A, depending on when you stopped using us, I don't blame you. But B,
Yeah.
we've now found ways to seamlessly Nike, Under Armour, Adidas,
Okay.
even if you want to get fancy, Peter Millar,
Oh,
Lululemon, like
okay.
we've really stepped up to offer everything that your community would want.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Nick, appreciate your time on the show. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
thank you
Uh,
for having me.
yeah.
It's a great
But
studio.
thank you.
And I mean, like I do mean that.
Yeah. Well, it's the best one there is. I don't know if you knew that.
It's
It's the,
top two and it
yeah.
ain't silver.
Well, I
It
mean,
ain't silver.
it's the best one in the state of Idaho by far.
True that.
So, okay, man. Thanks again. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
soon.